My feet drag against the hallway carpet as I search for my keys. After a 12-hour double shift at Westfield Grill, my back throbs, my chef's jacket smells of fryer oil, and all I want is the quiet of my own apartment. But before I even unlock the door, the sound of laughter and clinking glasses reaches me. I freeze, key in hand. Someone is inside. The lock clicks and I step in, my stomach sinks. 6 strangers are spread across my living room, drinks in hand, music blasting from my small Bluetooth speaker. And through the open space, I see my kitchen, my sanctuary, completely ruined. Daphne. My younger sister Lillian rushes toward me, nearly spilling her wine. "You're home early." Early? It's almost midnight. I pass her without a word, drawn to the wreckage that used to be my carefully organized kitchen. Wine bottles cover the counters. My Japanese sentoku knife, hand-forged and treasured, has been used to slice limes directly on the marble, the blade chipped. My cast-iron skillet, seasoned for years, sits carelessly in soapy water. "What have you done?" I whisper. "We're just having fun, Daph." "Don't be so uptight." Lillian waves me off. That's when I see it. Grandma Miller's handwritten recipe book, lying open and soaked with red wine. Generations of recipes, the ink bleeding into unreadable stains. My hands shake as I touch the ruined pages. This cannot be repaired. A memory surfaces. 6 months ago, my parents had stood in this same kitchen, asking me to give them a spare key for emergencies. I had hesitated, but their disappointment made me agree. "We're family, Daphne. Don't you trust us?" Dad had said. Weeks later, I returned from a late shift to find Lillian asleep on my couch, empty bottles scattered around. "Just needed somewhere to crash," she said. Soon it became routine. Whenever I worked nights, she came over, used my kitchen, and helped herself to my specialty ingredients, vanilla beans. Saffron, aged balsamic, all disappearing without a trace. Last month, after another uninvited gathering, I finally confronted my parents. Dad dismissed my concerns with, "That kitchen belongs to family too, Daphne. Don't be so selfish." Mom had agreed, saying, "A Lillian's just social, dear. You could learn from her, always the responsible one. Always the one expected to give in." While Lillian lived carelessly, I worked hard to build my life piece by piece. A crash pulls me back. Copper measuring cups tumble across the floor. "Everyone out." My voice cuts through the noise. The strangers glance at Lillian, uncertain. "It's only 11. You're such a buzzkill," she complains. "This is my home," I say firmly. "My kitchen? My things? Oh, please, nothing's really damaged." Out. Her friends gather their things, muttering as they leave. One tries to take a half-full wine bottle. I grab it back without speaking. "You're overreacting," Lillian says, reaching for her phone. "I'm calling Mom and Dad." For a moment, old habits return, the urge to stay quiet, to smooth things over. But then I see it, my chef's knife, lying cracked in a sticky puddle. The knife Chef Thomas gave me when I graduated culinary school. A cook's knife is her voice in the kitchen. He'd told me. Something inside me hardens. "Go ahead." "Call them," I say, holding the broken knife. "But when you're done, you're leaving too." Lillian stares, wide-eyed. She has never seen me like this, the sister who refuses to bend, who no longer excuses her behavior. "You can't kick me out. I'm your sister." "Watch me." I push her out the door and slam it shut. Have you ever had that moment when something inside you finally breaks free? When you realize you've been taken advantage of for too long? When love, instead of protecting you, has been turned into a weapon against you? I was about to learn what happens when you finally refuse to back down. A week later, I was invited to dinner at my parents' house. I step into my parents' suburban house and the smell of pot roast hits me. Mom's Sunday standard for as long as I can remember. "Pot roast always means she wants something, Daphne." "Just in time." Dad's voice booms from the dining room where wine glasses already glitter. His car dealership smile is on full display, the one he uses when he's about to sell an extended warranty. Mom comes out of the kitchen, wiping her hands on her floral apron. "There you are, honey." Lillian's been here an hour already. Of course she has. Lillian lounges at the table, scrolling her phone without looking up. "Hey, Daph," she murmurs, one finger still swiping. I sit in my assigned chair, the same one since I was 12, and notice a thick manila folder set beside Dad's water glass. "Red flag, so," Dad says before I've even unfolded my napkin. "We've been talking about a business opportunity." Mom practically vibrates as she serves the pot roast. Richard, let her eat first. Dad leans forward, elbows on the table. Daphne, you know how you've always wanted to work in a real restaurant? I set down my fork. I already work in a real restaurant. Dad dismisses that. A line cook isn't what I mean. We're talking about something you can build. A legacy? Lillian finally looks up, a strange smile at her lips. Dad slides the manila folder toward me. We've been exploring options to legally register a small restaurant for you. For me? A cold knot forms in my stomach. Mom corrects him gently. For the family. Your cooking plus Lillian's business sense, Dad says, beaming. You run the kitchen. Lillian will be the manager and the face of the place. Customers, marketing, front of house. I never said I begin. You're good at cooking, Dad interrupts. But managing is Lillian's strength. This way it's fair. Fair. The word hits like a slap. I open the folder and freeze. Printed real estate listings lie inside, Dad's handwriting in the margins. Available immediately. Good foot traffic. Reasonable lease terms. You've been looking at locations? I ask. The pot roast cools on my plate untouched. Just preliminary research, Mom says. Nothing definite. Lillian slides her phone across the table. Check my Pinterest board. I've been collecting ideas for months. The screen shows a board titled Our Restaurant with hundreds of pins, the oldest from 4 months ago. My fingers go numb as I scroll through interiors, menu layouts, staff uniforms, decisions made without speaking to me. There's more, Dad says, pulling another paper from the folder. We've started the loan application process. We just need your signature since you're the culinary person. My signature, my credit, my risk, without my vision. We've told everyone at church, Mom adds, refilling glasses. The whole family's excited about the girls' restaurant venture. When were you planning to ask me about this? I say quieter than I mean to. Dad's eyebrows lift. This is how family businesses work, Daphne. We each have roles. You cook, Lillian runs the business. Don't you want us to be close again? Lillian coos like when we were kids? Remember our Easy Bake Oven restaurant? The memory twists. How she always made me do the cooking while she grabbed the Monopoly money from our stuffed animal customers. I need air. I stand and step onto the back porch, the cool evening easing my flushed skin. The sliding door opens behind me. Aunt Margaret, Mom's sister, appears, her footsteps lighter than my parents'. She'd been quiet inside, but not surprised. I figured this might happen tonight, she says, joining me at the railing. They've been talking about it for weeks. Did everyone know except me? I ask. Aunt Margaret sighs. They've always done this to you. Use your talent while giving Lillian the spotlight. I turn to her, startled. What do you mean? Your mother did the same to me when we were young, she says, gently touching my arm. I designed all her prom dresses, but she told everyone she had made them herself. The similarity hits hard, leaving me speechless. Your talent is yours, Daphne. Don't let anyone make you doubt that, she continues, squeezing my hand. And if you need a place to stay, my guest room is open to you. A place to stay? Why would I? The sliding door opens. Dad stands there, framed by the dining room light. We're waiting to continue our discussion, Daphne. Back inside, the plates are gone. The loan application now sits neatly at my place, a pen waiting on top. Your mother and I co-signed your lease, honey, Dad says, his tone casual but edged. Remember that. The warning is clear. Mom pats my hand. Your schedule at the restaurant will allow you to manage the kitchen while Lillian handles the client meetings. The investors expect to see both Miller sisters next week, Lillian adds smoothly. I've already confirmed. I look around the table, faces I thought I knew, now strangers. They've mapped out my life without a single thought for what I want. Their expectations press against me like a weight I can't shake. I need time to think, I say, standing with my purse. Don't overthink it, Dad replies. This is what families do, support each other. Support. As if this entire scheme to use my skills for Lillian's benefit could be called support. Across the table, Aunt Margaret meets my eye. Her small nod steadies me. Family can be our greatest support, or our heaviest burden. That night, I drive home with the untouched loan application on the seat beside me, wondering how many others have realized that belonging sometimes costs their dreams. 2 days later, my phone buzzes for the 5th time that morning. Dad again. I let it go to voicemail, already knowing what he wants. Restaurant details. They plan to use my culinary training while putting Lillian in the spotlight. A text follows immediately. Daphne, Your mother found the perfect location on Adams Avenue. Meeting the realtor at 2. Be there, not a request. A command. The buzzing continues all morning. Mom calls about adjusting recipes to make them more commercial. Lillian texts about bringing potential investors to my apartment. Without asking. Again. I'm chopping onions when Mrs. Henderson from church calls. Congratulations on the restaurant, dear. Your father announced it during fellowship. Everyone is so proud of you girls working together. My knife slips, nearly cutting my finger. He announced it? Oh yes, he told everyone his daughters are opening a restaurant. The whole congregation is thrilled. Lillian even showed logo designs with your name on them. The world tilts. I thank her, hang up, and set the knife down before my shaking hands betray me. They're building a reality around me, brick by brick, until I have no way out. That evening, my phone rings again. An unfamiliar number. I almost ignore it, assuming it's another congratulations call. But something tells me to answer. Is this Daphne Miller? A crisp, professional voice asks. Yes, speaking. This is Valerie Chambers, executive assistant to Chef Thomas Anderson at Ember. We received your resume last month. Chef Anderson would like to interview you tomorrow morning if you're available. My heart skips a beat. Ember is the new high-profile restaurant opening downtown. I had sent my resume on a whim last month, never expecting a reply. Yes. Absolutely yes. The Ember kitchen gleams with order the next morning. No clutter, no noise, only the focused precision of chefs preparing for service. Chef Anderson, tall and serious, observes quietly as I prepare my signature scallop dish during the working interview. His eyes miss nothing. He waits until I plate and takes a single bite. His face remains composed, but there's a subtle shift in his expression. Your flavor combinations are remarkable, Daphne. The words feel strange, almost unsettling. No comparison to Lillian. No dismissal of cooking as insignificant. Just acknowledgement of my skill. I need a head chef. Someone with your technical ability and palate, he continues, leaning against the counter. Creative control of the menu. Your name featured. Full salary and benefits. I freeze, unable to take it in. But surely there are more experienced chefs in San Diego, I manage. I've interviewed 12. None understand balance like you do. He slides a contract across the counter. Take the weekend to think it over. When I return to my apartment, Lillian waits at my door, a large portfolio under her arm. She slips inside as soon as I unlock it. Finally, you're here. I've been waiting forever. She spreads fabric swatches across the coffee table. These are for the banquets. I'm leaning toward burgundy velvet, but Mom prefers charcoal. I set my keys down. Lillian, when did I ever agree to this? She ignores me. We've got meetings with 3 banks next week about the business loans. Dad says your credit score will help with the terms. Lillian, stop. My voice sharpens in a way I've never used with her. I never agreed to open a restaurant with you. She looks up, genuinely confused. We've been planning this for months. No, you've been planning. I've been avoiding the conversation. She rolls her eyes. Oh, please. What were you going to do? Be a line cook forever? This is your chance to actually matter. The truth cuts deep. They never saw me as capable of success without Lillian's charm or Dad's business ties. I interviewed at Ember today, I say. They offered me head chef. Lillian laughs sharply. Sure, and I'm opening for Taylor Swift next week. I show her Chef Anderson's follow-up email with the salary details. Her face pales, but our restaurant, your restaurant, I correct. On my credentials. With my liability if it fails. That evening, Aunt Margaret calls. I heard from your mother you're being difficult about the restaurant. I brace for more pressure, but instead she says, good for you. I know a small business attorney who can help you formally decline. My treat, the words open a floodgate. I tell her everything, the manipulation, the assumptions, Chef Anderson's offer. Your father pulled the same thing on your mother, she reveals, used her nursing license for his first dealership without giving her real authority. History repeating itself. The next day, my culinary school mentor calls. I heard you might be settling for less than you deserve. Any truth? Word travels fast in kitchens. When I explain to my coworkers, they rally around me with protective fury. The lead cook offers his brother to change my locks. The pastry chef invites me to stay with her if things escalate. For the first time, I see another kind of family forming, one that values what I contribute instead of what they can take. That night, I cook. Not for approval, not for anyone else, just for the pure craft. As flavors shift and deepen, I realize my kitchen has always been more than food. It was control in a life where I had little, my space, my choices. The next morning, I call the locksmith. By afternoon, new keys rest heavy in my hand, then I dial Chef Anderson. I'd like to accept your offer. The certainty in my voice surprises me. For once, I am choosing only for myself. The week blurs with signing my contract, quietly collecting belongings from my parents' house, and working with Aunt Margaret's lawyer on a statement declining the family project. We prepare responses for every manipulation they might try at the meeting they've scheduled for Tuesday, where they still expect me to agree. On Monday, messages flood my phone. Dad, proud of you, kiddo. Signed the lease today. Big announcement tomorrow. Mom leaves a voicemail about the guest list for a soft opening. Lillian texts her friends, my sister and I finally making our dream real. I place the signed Ember contract carefully in my bag. The weight of it feels like armor. My reflection in the hallway mirror reveals someone I hardly recognize, a woman with quiet strength in her eyes as she picks up her car keys and heads to her parents' house. Sometimes, the hardest decision is also the right one. Have you ever faced a choice that you knew would disappoint your family, but was necessary for your own well-being? Share your story below. The next day, at our usual Tuesday meeting, the incorporation papers rest in the middle of my parents' oak dining table like a trap waiting to snap. Around me, excited voices fill the room. Walls that have witnessed 35 years of Miller family control now echo with anticipation. My father beams proudly. My mother clasps her hands, glowing with delight. Lillian tosses her hair, accepting congratulations for a restaurant she has not earned. The contractor says we can begin renovations next week, Dad announces, slapping his palm on blueprints I had never seen. Your mother's church friends are already planning to book the private room, he adds. I sit quietly, hands folded in my lap, watching them plan my future without a single word from me. A graphic designer, one of Lillian's college friends, opens his laptop. Here's the final logo, he says, turning the screen toward me. Lillian's name dominates in elegant script. Beneath it, in text barely larger than fine print, Kitchen by Daphne. The room falls silent. All eyes turn to me, waiting for the expected tears of gratitude. Just need your signature, honey, Dad says, sliding the papers toward me with his Mont Blanc pen, as though granting me a gift. Then we can celebrate properly. I look at the pen, then at their eager faces. I won't be part of this, I say, my voice steady despite the adrenaline rushing through me. I accepted a position as head chef at Ember last week. The silence that follows feels like the moment after glass shatters. This is only a phase, my father recovers quickly, dismissing my choice as he always has. Being head chef at someone else's restaurant is nothing compared to owning your own. My mother's eyes well with tears. After everything we've done for you, she says, pressing a tissue to her face, a performance I've seen too many times. Lillian shoots to her feet, her chair scraping loudly against the hardwood. You're just jealous it wasn't your idea. She shouts, her voice rising with every word. We've already invested so much. You can't walk away now. Dad pulls out his phone. I'm calling Uncle Robert. He should know how you're abandoning your sister's dream. He dials, his outrage on full display. In my pocket, my phone vibrates. A glance shows Lillian's vague Instagram post already gathering sympathetic comments. Family can wound you when you least expect it. And as the coordinated attack unfolds exactly as I knew it would, the weight of family shame presses down. But this time, it doesn't crush me. The front door swings open and Aunt Margaret strides in without knocking. I figured you might need backup, she says, squeezing my shoulder before addressing the room. Have any of you even tasted Daphne's food recently? She's brilliant. My phone buzzes again. A message from Chef Anderson. The team's excited to have you start Monday. Below it, LinkedIn notifications from culinary school classmates reacting to my update about the new role. I've already signed a contract. I calmly pull the document from my bag. That means I can't legally enter any other business that would create a conflict of interest. My father's face flushes. The lease, he begins, is in your name? I finish for him. So is the loan application. So are the commitments you made without my consent. Lillian steps forward, mascara smudged. What am I supposed to do now? She asks. I collect my things. That's not my problem to solve. But you were always the responsible one we could count on, my mother blurts, then looks away. My father runs a hand through his thinning hair. Lillian can't do this alone. I need your name on the loan to secure financing. Lillian's voice breaks. Not a partner, just a guarantor. Not for the business, just collateral. The realization hits me with odd clarity. They didn't want my skill or advice, only my signature and labor. I've spent my life carrying Lillian's ambitions while sidelining my own. I stand. That ends today. Aunt Margaret slips an arm around my shoulders as we head for the door. You can't walk away from family, my father calls after me, smaller than ever. I turn once. I'm not walking away from family. I'm walking toward self-respect. Outside, the evening air feels clear. My hands should tremble, but they're steady. Aunt Margaret gives me a sidelong look as we reach my car. That moment when you finally stand up for yourself is terrifying and freeing, she says softly. Was it worth it? I look back at the house where I'd spent years shrinking to fit their expectations. Through the window, I see them still at the table with the abandoned papers between them. Every second, I answer and mean it. At exactly 7 p.m. Sunday, the doorbell rings. Through the peephole, I see my father standing stiffly, my mother fussing with her cardigan, Lillian dabbing her eyes with a tissue. Their surprise weapon is Grandma Miller, leaning on her cane and looking bewildered. It's a calculated ambush. I open the door, face neutral. This is unexpected, I say. We need to talk about what you're doing to this family, my father says in his practiced salesman tone. Grandma insisted on coming. She's worried about Lillian. Grandma reaches for my hand. I don't understand what's happening, Daphne. Everyone's upset. Please come in, I step aside. My apartment looks different now, rearranged, reclaimed. Security cameras tucked in corners. New locks glinting on the door. My mother notices. You changed the locks? I did. I show Grandma to the best chair. I've prepared something. Please sit. My kitchen island holds small plates, 5 dishes arranged precisely. Each one is a component of the tasting menu I prepared for the head chef role. My father waves a hand. What's all this? My work. Try it. Lillian stays standing, arms folded. We didn't come to eat, Daphne. You ruined everything I worked for. Her voice cracks on cue. The investors pulled out when they learned you wouldn't be involved. My father steps closer. Your mother and I co-signed your lease. Remember that. The threat hangs in the air. Sit, I say, pulling out stools. Or leave. The blunt choice in my voice, without apology, forces them to hesitate. They exchange looks and slowly take seats. I move through the kitchen with calm, professional efficiency, finishing each plate. The space feels different, sacred mine. I serve each dish and explain the components with measured detachment. Seared scallop with brown butter and sage. Wild mushroom risotto with truffle oil. Braised short rib in red wine reduction. Grandma tastes a scallop, eyes widening, then closing in appreciation. This is extraordinary, Daphne. My mother picks at her food. It's very nice, dear, but we need to talk. I'm not finished. From the counter, I retrieve a folder and lay it between us. I've been collecting proof against my family for a long time. Security footage from the last 3 months showing 27 unauthorized entries to my apartment while I was at work. I slide printed stills across the island. Lillian's parties, kitchen damage, my belongings ruined. My father pushes the photos aside. Family doesn't need permission, he says. I place my phone on the E. Counter and scroll through Lillian's text to friends arranging to use my apartment. Again that night because she's working late. Their expressions shift as I continue. Then I put forward loan applications with forged signatures, my signature. That's fraud, Dad, I say, placing the paperwork in front of him. I also present a statement from my building manager about complaints filed during my absences. The kitchen grows quiet except for Grandma, who keeps eating, her small sounds of satisfaction filling the silence. You never saw me as someone with dreams, I say, keeping my voice steady despite the tightness in my chest. To you, I was just a tool for Lillian's ambitions. A signature, free labor, a kitchen when convenient. I take my house key off the ring and place it on the counter. No more emergencies. No more unannounced visits. My boundaries are final. Respect them or step out of my life. The choice is yours. My father sits speechless, perhaps for the first time in his life. My mother looks at me as though I am a stranger. You've always been the favorite anyway, Lillian blurts, mascara streaking her cheeks. They bragged about your cooking while I couldn't find my place. That's not true, Lillian, my mother begins, but Grandma interrupts firmly. It's about time someone said it. Richard, Eleanor, you've taken advantage of this girl for years. I've seen it. My parents exchange anxious glances. This wasn't part of their plan. We should go, my father mutters, standing abruptly. My mother follows, pulling Lillian along. I'm staying, Grandma says calmly. Daphne and I have things to discuss. They leave in disarray, the door shutting behind them. The room feels lighter, as if the air itself has shifted. Grandma reaches for my hand. Your grandfather would be proud. He never let anyone misuse his work. From her purse, she unwraps a cloth bundle, revealing a chef's knife with a worn wooden handle, gleaming in the light. His favorite, she says, placing it in my hands. I saved it for the right time, for the right Miller. The knife feels perfectly balanced, its edge sharp even after decades. A tool meant for hands that would respect it. Thank you, I whisper, tracing the spine with my finger. Family patterns can be broken with courage, Grandma says, raising her glass. And sometimes the greatest act of love is setting boundaries. 6 months later, I slide sage-crusted lamb chops into the oven, checking the time. 2 hours until service at Anderson's, and the kitchen already hums with precision. My sous chef finishes the sauce reduction exactly as needed. My standards have lifted the team, and they rise to meet them. Chef Miller, Marcus calls, wiping his hands. That writer from San Diego Cuisine is back. Says your autumn menu deserves another feature. 4 months as head chef, and the locals already know my name. Not as Richard Miller's daughter or Lillian's sister, but because my food speaks for itself. Customers request my dishes by name, and my team delivers without hesitation. The quiet pride I feel is nothing like the approval I once craved from family. 6 months after setting boundaries, I teach an evening class at my old culinary school. A student struggles with the emulsion technique I once failed under my father's critical eye. Take your time, I encourage, showing the gentle wrist motion. Rushing breaks the sauce. As she succeeds where I once stumbled, something settles inside me. I haven't just broken an old pattern. I've created space for others to learn without shame. The warmth of that moment outweighs any praise I ever chased. Sunday dinners still happen, but on my terms. Last week, my father even nodded when I mentioned a local award. Saw that in the paper, he said with something close to respect. My mother surprised me too, asking about my techniques without comparing them to Lillian. Small steps, but progress. You showed them who you really are, Aunt Margaret whispered before leaving. That's the hardest fight of all. Then a text from Lillian arrives one Tuesday. I was wrong for using you. I want to start fresh. We meet at a coffee shop, no parents between us. Her hands twist a napkin. I've been riding your coattails my whole life, she admits, eyes meeting mine. It was easier than finding my own path. She shows me her acceptance letter to a hospitality management program and a junior manager role at a bistro. It's entry level, but it's mine. Weeks later, a gathering at my apartment feels nothing like the intrusion that began it all. Colleagues mingle with Aunt Margaret while Grandma samples each dish with care. When Lillian arrives, her homemade crostini looks uneven but sincere. The texture's close, I say, showing her how to adjust the bread. The same kitchen, yet a completely different atmosphere. My parents now call before visiting, a small but meaningful victory. Lillian asks for advice instead of assuming. Cooking here feels peaceful, no longer burdened by old wounds. Sometimes you must fight for your space to help others find theirs. I tell a young line cook under similar pressure. My story becomes her permission to set her own boundaries. Plans for my own restaurant take shape, this time fully mine. Lillian supports me without expectation. Late at night, I test a new recipe, moving with confidence in the kitchen that almost broke me. Grandma's knife gleams under the light, a true symbol of legacy. My phone buzzes with Lillian's text. Got the promotion. Thanks for showing me how to stand on my own. I smile, understanding the lesson at last. The recipe for family healing requires the hardest ingredient of all: truth. But once added, everything else falls into place.